name is AJ Riedel, and you're listening to the Thriving Through podcast, the podcast where each week I sit down and have real conversations with self-employed consultants about what it really takes to build a sustainable, profitable, and fulfilling consulting practice. If you're struggling with that dreaded feast or famine cycle, you know, those months where you're either completely overwhelmed with work or desperately searching for your next client, today's episode is exactly what you need to hear. I'm talking with Ben Blankenship, a scaling up business coach who cracked the code on consistent revenue after 9 years of building his consulting practice. Ben didn't just stumble onto success. He systematically figured out how to turn curiosity into his biggest competitive advantage and built a referral system that delivers new clients 8 times out of 10, an 80% conversion rate. Here's what makes Ben's story so valuable for struggling consultants. He started exactly where many of you are now. He transitioned gradually from employee to consultant, dealt with what he calls lumpy revenue. I call it the feast or famine cycle. And he had to learn the hard way that you never stop being in business development mode. But instead of accepting the revenue roller coaster, he built systems and partnerships that create predictable growth. In our conversation, Ben shares his proven strategy for asking for referrals without feeling pushy, why curiosity is his number one filter for working with clients, and how he's building strategic partnerships with wealth advisors and attorneys that consistently deliver qualified prospects. He also gets refreshingly honest about the tools and team members that actually move the needle in a consulting practice. Whether you're just starting out or you've been consulting for years but still can't seem to stabilize your income, Ben's insights will give you a clear roadmap for building the sustainable consulting practice you've been working toward. Let's dive in. Welcome to this episode of the Thriving Through podcast. Today, my guest is Ben Blankenship. Ben, I'm so delighted to have you on the podcast.
AJ, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
I have a series of questions that I love to ask all my podcast guests, and it starts with, how long have you been self-employed?
Sure. I've been self-employed for about 9 years.
Okay. And what was your path to becoming a self-employed consultant?
Great question. So the path involved what stirred in me, my inspiration to become self-employed. And that was I wanted to own my own calendar. And I wanted to be able to leverage a lot of my good ideas, or I thought were good ideas, and to have more creative control over my life. And so that was kind of the thoughts in my head. And my actual path, I continued to be employed while I started my business, and then I worked until I had enough revenue generating where I felt comfortable. One, kind of like proof of concept, and
Mhm.
then two, where there wasn't so much of a gap in income generation that I could afford to take some risk. And so that's how I chose to do it.
Okay, which is probably the wisest route. It's certainly the least anxiety producing is to do the
Abs-
side hustle.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So how long were you juggling full time and getting your business up and running?
About a year, I suppose. And and the business ramped up pretty quickly. I think what I do is in demand, and so yeah, my opportunity scaled it pretty quickly, and I was very ready to leap and do my own thing after a year.
Okay. What has been the single most important thing that has contributed to your success as a consultant?
Curiosity.
Oh, okay. I love that.
Curiosity is an engine for opening doors, for inspiring creativity and innovation, for solving problems, for developing relationships, for resolving conflict. I am a huge believer. It is my number one core value, and it is my number one filter for wanting wanting to work with or not work with a prospective client. If they don't have curiosity, I will likely not work with them.
How do you tell? How do you determine that?
Just revisiting, like you and I are doing right now, asking questions, and you can tell if somebody's curious or if they think they have everything all figured out. And those are the kinds of people that they probably won't listen very well, and they probably will not receive new ideas and information, and they probably don't pursue new ideas and information very well. So, yeah, that's
Yeah.
generally how I do that. Yeah,
In the coaching space, you'd say they're not coachable.
that's exactly right. Yeah.
Tell us a story or two about the biggest challenges that you faced building your practice over the last 8 years, 8 or 9 years, and how you've overcome them.
Sometimes revenue gets lumpy. And
Mm,
the reality is that you might not always have all of your clients. You're pretty well guaranteed you won't. I know that I have had some of my clients for many, many years, but others have moved on. It was the right thing for them to do. I encouraged most of that. And sometimes you get things started and you realize there's not a good fit, and both parties need to go a different direction. And so with the lumpy revenue, I came to the realization that I can never not be in BD mode, business development mode. And so I learned to always keep my eyes really open and understand that every single conversation, every person that I visit with could be an opportunity, whether it's with them or tangentially through them, that it could lead to, you know what, you need to speak with Ben Blankenship. He does some things that would benefit your organization. And it's really benefited me well. And so I also learned to ask for referrals. So
mhm,
after a win with existing clients,
mhm.
I ask for referrals. It would mean a lot to me if you have anybody in your orbit that you think would also benefit from my support. And, you know, I would say 8 times out of 10, they have a name or three. And they're willing to pick up the phone or send an email with a warm introduction. And that's something else I've learned over time, to ask for the referral.
Those are really important. And a lot of consultants don't follow those. The importance of business development, you're doing it all the time. If you want to have a pipeline, if you don't want to have lumpy income, I like the way you described that. And then also, I hear so many consultants say, well, they'll just refer me. You know, I shouldn't
Without any
have to
effort.
ask without any prompting. It's like, well, why would you expect that? People are busy. They can be really happy with the work you did for them, and it wouldn't occur to them to refer you unless you ask.
Well, and they don't know if you're looking for business or not. For all they know, you have a full plate and you're happy and you're good to go, right?
Right. Yeah. So those are some important learnings, but I'm going to ask another question about learnings.
Sure.
What else have been your biggest learnings?
Sure. I mean, you're bringing up the point. You've used the word learning a couple times, and the other reality of being a consultant, and then more specifically speaking about myself that I've realized as a business coach, is I have to be a voracious learner. And so I am always looking for opportunities to gain new perspective, to challenge the way that I'm thinking, to break confirmation bias. And because I owe it to my clients to have fresh perspective, right? So I would say that learning is another big reality being in most consulting jobs. And so I'd say that. I would say also that like you have to administer your business. Like when you own your own business, there's some required business administration, and it's important to get it done. And it's important to put time on your schedule and just do it. It's not anybody's favorite thing to do. And I have plenty of friends who own their own businesses, whether solopreneurs or they have a team of people. And you know what? I think it's all of our least favorite thing to do. Just get it done.
But you are a business owner.
You're a
There are
business
certain
owner, right?
things.
I would say
Yes.
another thing I've learned is that we all need help, right? And so I have an executive assistant, and it's taking me four, goes at it to find the right person. So you don't always find the right person the first time.
Mhm.
And and I would also say that you reap what you sow. So providing clear expectations and being patient and making sure that you provide good feedback on a regular basis will result in getting better and better outcomes from your team. That applies to any team, any individual. But I have found that working with my EA in that manner has really helped a lot. And so I more and more lean on her to help support me, and I've been giving her more and more. I've been delegating more. I think that's a
Mhm.
very important skill to learn in any position, but as a business owner in particular, it's very important to learn to delegate. And so I'd say that's another lesson learned is become a really good delegator. Get some help and delegate.
Okay. How long have you had your EA? You said you 4 rounds. At what point in your consulting did you say I've really got to get some help?
Yeah, I would say it was probably about 3 years in. Um, and I had that mentality from year 0 to 3 that I had to do it all myself. Interestingly enough, I coach other businesses to get help and to find people and to delegate and to all the things that I wasn't doing myself, right? I wasn't taking my own medicine. And so finally, after about 3 years, I started taking my own medicine, and I've always worked with virtual EAs, and
Mhm.
I started working with an organization in the Philippines. And what I learned about the kind of work that I do is that that was not a good fit.
Hmm.
It could be a really good fit for some people, depending on what you need them to do. So tried that, and then I had a great relationship with my third VA, but her life changed, and uh, and so I needed to look for another replacement, and she actually helped me find my replacement, who is fantastic, and we've been working together for quite some time now.
And is she US based? Did you
U.S.
find?
based.
Okay. And give it, but tell me a little bit more about how, because the Philippines is a very common place that business coaches recommend for VAs. What was it that did not that made it not a fit for you?
I think one is I need a client facing, I need some client facing support, and I
Okay.
was running into some linguistic issues. And that there are no linguistic issues if the communication is mostly written.
Mhm.
But when you get into speech communication, that can become challenging. And when I'm asking for somebody to repeat themselves several times, and I'm a safe space, right? That it's probably not going to translate well to my client interface. So
Right.
that was a big driver. Also, the Philippines is 12 hours difference.
Right.
The outside
That's
found,
huge.
right? My EAs, if they were working my hours, were exhausted. I ran into another situation where one of my EAs was going to school during their daytime, our nighttime, and then during their shift with me, they would continue, like they barely slept. That's the punchline. And so I was getting sub performance because they were sleep deprived. And so, I think that there are a lot of good things that can happen. I think like one of the strongest cases for having that outsourced offshore support is they can do work when we're asleep. So if it's that kind of work, that is a fantastic formula, right? You wake up and you have new work product to review. So yeah, I think that it's a good fit in certain situations and maybe not in others.
Right. I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about some of the business development stuff.
Sure.
What is your most reliable source of new leads right now? The one strategy or channel that you can, that is predictably and consistently brings in leads.
Number one is happy clients, hands down,
Okay.
hands down, happy clients. And I think if you word it right to help them understand that it doesn't need to be necessarily that they even have to have the right answer for a prospective client, but maybe they have somebody in their network that they'd like to introduce you to who might be one of those multipliers, right? So, for example, maybe like in a business coaching world, and this could actually apply to other types of consultants, but maybe my client has a strong relationship with a PE firm. And PE firms own portfolio companies. They have oftentimes many, many companies, right? And so that one relationship could result in one or several opportunities. So that's an example. So I think it's important to have a conversation. It's just not a quick one-off, hey, happy client, would you refer me to um, a prospect who wants my services? Maybe it's, hey, could you think of anybody in your network that I should be speaking with who might help me navigate expanding my network or identify other prospective clients and maybe help open up their mind a little bit too, because as you said, AJ, like they're in their day-to-day grind. They're doing their jobs. They're not thinking about how you expand your business. So you need to kind of help them out a little bit.
Right. Right. What makes this work better than other things that you've tried?
Well, let's see. So because of results, frankly,
Okay.
like the results talk.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I have my own a video podcast. I call it Ounce of Wisdom, and it's on YouTube. It's burgeoning. It's just getting it started this year, and posting to LinkedIn. So I'm doing some of that and getting some excitement from that. Um, but that might inspire curiosity, and occasionally it might inspire somebody to reach out to say, I'd like to connect. But it's not quite as direct a fit as having one of my happy clients say, you need to talk to this person, right?
Right. Right.
So that's one example of something that I'm working towards, but it just hasn't really panned out yet. I'll tell you another thing that has worked out though, and
Mhm.
that is I became a certified exit planning advisor. So through my learning, my commitment to learn and grow, I received another certification. And so that additional certification uh, equated to a whole new network of people, right? And so this whole new network of people, then I understood, okay, some of these people in this network need me. They need my kind of advice, my kind of consultancy to help their work. And so I just started networking through this new certified exit planning advisor network and realized that in my case, wealth advisors really want to know me. Many of them have clients who own businesses, and those businesses probably need some help. Many do. And so I started networking with wealth advisors and saying, hey, I'd like you to know who I am and what I do and how I do it. So that engine is really getting kicked off right now. So that's kind of the second best is one, getting another certification, and two, really leveraging that new network to look for new business, I would say. The social media piece, frankly, AJ, some people are doing it great, and I bet you are. But like I can't figure out how to make Instagram work for me to save my life. I think YouTube and LinkedIn, like I understand that, right?
Mhm.
So I realize that, even if only a handful of people click like, respond to your posting. Like the repetition and consistency is important. So, if you ask me a year from now, maybe I'll have a different answer about the whole social media piece. But yeah, I would say that number one, warm referrals, and number two is probably like look for new networks. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny about social media that it's kind of seems like it would be the easy way to get to market. And maybe in the early days it was,
Yeah.
but now it is, to me, it's a credibility, it's a brand authority. It helps you develop your go-to preeminent brand authority positioning.
Mhm.
But I haven't even gone to Instagram. I only focus on LinkedIn, and it I mean, for me, and I've worked really hard at it and taken courses in it. I don't think it's a particularly good lead generator for consultants and coaches. You know?
You may be right. I tell you what, there are a lot of folks that reach out to me that promise to give me hot leads all the time, and I haven't bitten. So I don't know if that's a real thing or not. I know though that we all have our different brands, right? How we
Hmm.
the feeling we want to convey about what we do, who we are, how we do it, and uh, and I've been really cautious about kind of the spamming, if you will, like over communicating. I'm concerned. I don't want to cheapen my image, and I am really concerned that if I, if I do like a drip campaign and it's too pushy, that
Hmm.
it might cheapen my value, my image. And that's just me. So that's one of the reasons why I've been careful about how I interact with LinkedIn as an example.
Yes. That's how you and I connected. But it was me offering you the opportunity to be on the podcast. It wasn't saying, hire me or pay to be a podcast guest. So hopefully there was an intrigue, a bit of value added that gave us a chance to have a conversation with each other and determine if if it made sense.
Well,
So
if I recall, AJ, you reached out directly to me, right?
yes.
I think unless I don't understand how there are some bots that are out there now that can make it feel genuine, but I was like, okay, so somebody is reaching out to me, they want to know me, and I think that that's good, authentic, genuine networking, right? And you offered me an opportunity to have a meaningful discussion, and so I think that was great. Uh, I think that was great. That reminds me though of something else that I've found myself sensitive to. I haven't changed my behavior yet, but when people just want to add you to their network, but they're not willing, like oftentimes I'll say, "Hey, yeah, thank you so much for reaching out to connect. Why are you finding it interesting? Why would you like to connect with me? What do you like about my background?" Sometimes I'll just go ahead and accept the connection, but I get no reply at all.
Right. That's
And
pretty common. Yeah.
right? And that's kind of frustrating. That does not say I want an authentic relationship. It says I want to get into your feed, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And it's amazing how low the response, the percentages that respond when you connect with them.
Yeah.
It is interesting. Well, I want to move on. I want to know what systems or tools have been game changers for you in managing your consulting practice.
Oh, wow. So I am a toolaholic. I am
Yeah, I love
always I
it.
am always looking for tools for myself and my clients, like constantly shopping for tools for my clients. And all of them already have many that they bring to the table. But So I am a scaling up business coach, and so we have some tools in our toolkit that are unique for us. But I'll explain some of them to you. So number one, and you asked for managing my business, but this really is part of managing my business is how I gain clients.
Hmm?
I have a scaling up team assessment, and I will do that assessment for free for one organization under one ownership. You know, some people own multiple businesses. And I will send that assessment to the CEO slash owner and their senior leadership team. And the resulting report is a very comprehensive, here's the health of your team. It's based on kind of scaling up. So we talk about people, strategy, execution, and cash. And so it breaks down the organizational health in those categories. There are about 60 questions across those four categories. And it compares the CEO to a peer group of similar revenue size and a similar industry. And as well, it compares the CEO to their leadership team. And what you see, you find gaps. You
Hmm?
find gaps in how each of them answer specific questions. For example, how effective is your organization with retaining top talent, right? Sometimes, AJ, I'm seeing the CEO is saying a 3 and the chief people officer is saying a 9. It's probably a problem there, right? There's a
Hmm?
wide gap. And so each one of those gaps is an opportunity for a conversation. And so I use that tool then to walk the team through some of these major gaps. And then I say, would you like to have an opportunity to work with a business coach? And so that's something else I've learned is you give to get. And so I give something of value and show, exhibit some of my skills and abilities. And then the organization has an opportunity to hire me as a business coach. So that's one tool. And other consultants can come up with their own assessments, of course, right? But the concept of providing some real data, some real good observations to a prospect, I think is an effective way of catching their attention and giving them a preview into what it might be like to work with you.
Yeah. You know what's so great about that is you're learning about them. You're helping them understand that there are some serious gaps that
Yeah.
are causing them problems that they might not have seen
And
before.
oftentimes, yeah, AJ, you're right. Oftentimes there are eyebrows that are raising, right? When I walk them through the results. So that's a big one. I have a cash flow profitability piece of software that I use, but that gets more into the engagement. So other things that I use to run my business, I use Wave. I'm still considered a small business, and Wave is a free accounting software. They start charging you. They have very reasonable rates for like part-time bookkeepers
Mhm.
and doing your taxes and other types of services like that. And they'll charge a small fee for to allow your clients to pay you electronically and that kind of stuff. But I've been very happy. It's a simple program. I'm a former CFO. I've used very complicated financial systems. And I got to tell you, simple is great if you're running your own business and you have to do most of it yourself. So Wave is a great software to use for basic accounting. What else am I using? I am using ClickUp right now for my CRM. And
Okay.
ClickUp is, look, it's a lot like Asana. It's a lot like a lot of these other tools. You could use Trello. You could certainly use HubSpot, but ClickUp is a pretty affordable solution with much more than just being a CRM. And so I rely on that to take notes, and I can send emails to different ClickUp folders and to stay organized and that sort of thing. So that's been helpful. Um, I'm like everybody else. I text, I email, that kind of stuff. Uh,
Mhm.
I think those are probably the main tools that I'm using right now. Of course, my website is a tool for me, and I have
Mhm.
opportunities for people to contact me there and request assessments and that sort of thing. So, yeah, maybe that's probably my go-to list.
Okay. Wonderful. Is your consulting practice delivering the lifestyle you dreamed of?
Yes. Yeah, some weeks are heavier than others, but I absolutely on my own calendar And certainly after I book something, then that's a commitment, right? But I
Mhm.
own my calendar. I go on vacations. Now, I go on many more vacations throughout the year. I will say that I'll usually work a little bit on my vacations, and because it's my business
Mhm.
and I want to keep the plate spinning. And I will communicate if I'm going to be off grid for a handful of days so that my clients know that don't expect any communication from me. But but yeah, I mean, I just got back from 2 weeks of mountain biking and hiking and fishing and camping, and it was glorious. And I have several more vacations planned for this year.
Wonderful. Where do you see your practice in 3 to 5 years?
I love that question. Uh, I am right now working on developing relationships, like really deep relationships with folks who are experts in M&A. So they're already kind of the quarterback of the M&A process. And with deep relationships with a small handful, a small number of wealth advisors
Mhm.
and CPAs and attorneys who do exit planning work. Because the pathway to an exit requires an organization to optimize their value. Always. You're de-risking your business, so you have to make changes there, and the de-risking increases the value of your business, but also you're you're introducing new techniques to drive revenue and to increase your gross profit. And so that all oftentimes requires help, and that's a business coach. But you also need the attorney and you need the CPA and you need the person who is quarterbacking this whole transaction. And so through developing like 2 or 3 relationships in each of those categories, that is the pipeline of business. If we're all sharing opportunities with each other and pulling each other in because we have trust, we know each other, we can count on
Mhm.
each other, right? Then that's the business done. Like there's the business development ecosystem right there. And so that's really what I'm working towards over the next, say, 3 years, is
Mhm.
really building a tight ecosystem of referring partners that all know and trust each other. And we don't really need to, like, we would still all go to networking events, the right ones anyway, but we would probably have a lot of deal flow coming to us, would be my
Right,
suspicion. So, yeah,
right. Your need for business development activities is going to be less.
right. And more focus on doing work for the client, which is what I love to do. Yeah.
You are a business coach.
Mhm.
What advice do you have for self-employed consultants who maybe are thinking they can do it on their own? They really don't need a coach.
Well, I would start the dialogue by asking them, are they getting the results that they hope for? And if they're not
Okay.
getting the results that they hope for, then I would engage curiosity and I would say, well, walk me through that. Like, where's the gap? Help me understand, where do you want to be? Where are you right now? And what have you tried to get there? And look, if somebody's either exhausted their list or they have a list but haven't dug in, they probably need some help, either with motivation, with time management, or they need some fresh ideas, or they need help executing their ideas. And so, look, it could be a business coach or fill in the blank, someone. But like sometimes, oftentimes, I find consultants are, high D's. They're dominant, and sometimes, and I'm included in that. And so sometimes us high D's think we have it all figured out. A, or B, we're too prideful to ask for help,
Okay.
right? And so,
Tell me before you go on. I want you to continue that, but high D is that the what assessment? Is
dominant.
that the
Yeah, it's
disc
disc.
assessment?
And it's
Okay.
just being dominant. And what I've found is just a lot of people who have the courage to go out on their own that courage comes from that dominance energy, that willingness to have the self-confidence to just go out and do it. And sometimes what you find paired with that personality type is, maybe overconfidence or the idea that you can do it all yourself.
Oh,
And so I would inspire, right?
yep.
Yeah,
I've never
same
had
here.
the disc assessment, but I guarantee, and it held me back when I was a consultant myself because I would never ever have considered a business coach.
Yeah,
And I really figured that I could figure it out on my own. And
yeah.
sure, but how many years did I spend figuring it out on my own? I could have shortcut that by working with a coach.
That's it. You're right, AJ. It's like, and how fast do you want to move, right? And when we want to move fast, we have to learn fast. And that means we have to have really good resources to help us with that, point us to the good stuff, right? And so I
Mhm.
think that's another reason to hire a business coach is pointing you to the good stuff. They've already vetted a bunch of different avenues and they can point you to like real value add ways to grow your business.
Absolutely. We're kind of nearing the end. I love this, but do like to keep them, you know, commutable length of time. So I'm
Sure.
going to ask you a couple rapid fire questions to close the
Sounds,
podcast today.
sounds good. I'm ready.
What's one book, podcast, or resource that's been invaluable to your consulting practice?
The book Scaling Up, Mastering the Rockefeller Habits 2.0 is a fantastic book. Uh, yep, that's my
Okay.
number one recommendation.
Okay. Scaling up.
Yep, it's called Scaling Up, and then kind of the subtitle is Mastering the Rockefeller Habits 2.0. And it
Okay.
really is a recipe for getting your business uh, focused and with a plan and executing and communicating well, getting healthy. And so that's really the foundation of my coaching practice is the ideas from that book. Support the scaling up uh, coaching platform, which is, we're international. We have about 300 coaches throughout the globe that do this kind of work.
Okay. I will put the link to Amazon in the show notes.
Please do.
What's one piece of advice you wish someone had given you when you started consulting?
Hmm. The piece of advice, I maybe do maybe do more organization and planning up front. It's that's a hard one, AJ, for me. The thing I do say to myself probably more often than anything else is, I wish I would have taken a little bit more time to like be ready for this or like get prepared, have my tools ready. Uh, and so what ends up happening is you still get it done, but it takes twice as much work afterwards to get it
Mhm.
done. So I would say that's, you know, take the time to have a clear plan. The other side of that scale though, AJ, so the listeners are going to hate me for this because I'm waffling here, is that, in the world of being agile, you have a pretty good idea. You're 80% there and just start going, right? Start running.
Right.
And then you start course correcting along the way and you make little iterative, improvements, which is really what I did. But I still, one of the results of taking that approach is that the corrections sometimes take more time, frankly. So
Right.
that's one piece. And then maybe the other is earlier on, I was going to a lot of large networking events that frankly weren't panning out. And so a wish I had for myself was to be wiser about really the kinds of relationships that to invest in relationships rather than investing in networking events. That the relationship, the coffee meeting, where I could really get to know a person instead of being in a room with many people was what I've found really moves the needle, right? It's either somebody that you know now and you can refer yourself, or there's that chance that they give you really great advice. Don't get me wrong, I've had some good conversations at networking events, but that's a pretty big time commitment. And so I shifted gears after a few years and really went more to understanding who I want to meet with and then pursuing very deliberately meetings with them and then buying them coffee or buying them lunch. And that ended up being a better path for me. So yeah, there's just some bits of advice I would give the earlier version of my consulting self.
That is good advice. Yes. And the final question,
Yeah.
how could listeners connect with you if they want to learn more about you and what you do?
Thank you for asking that. So a couple of different ways. I would say actually the main way, which probably we all do, is go to my website and all of my other contact information is there. And that the URL for that is www acuo-bc.com. I'll explain the URL for a second. So the name of my company is Acuo Business Coaching and Advising, and Acuo means to sharpen through experience. And so with coaching and with becoming a better company, I that really resonates with me. You sharpen, you become more focused with experience. BC stands for business consulting. So acuo-bc.com. And if you go there, you can read more about me and my company, and you can get in touch with me.
Wonderful. Well, Ben, it has been so great having you on the podcast today. Thank you so much. And
AJ, thank
that's a
you.
wrap on our episode for today.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Ben's journey really drives home something I see with every successful consultant I talk to. The fundamentals never go out of style. Curiosity, genuine relationship building, and asking for what you need. These aren't revolutionary concepts, but they're the difference between consultants who struggle with feast or famine cycles and those who build sustainable, thriving practices. If you're taking notes from today's conversation, start here. Identify your 3 happiest clients and reach out this week to ask for referrals. Use Ben's approach. Don't just ask if they know someone who needs your services. Ask them if they know anyone in their network who might benefit from connecting with you or could help you expand your professional circle. That slight shift in language makes all the difference. And remember Ben's insight about curiosity. It's not just about being interested in your client's problems. It's about staying genuinely curious about your own business development, about new ways to serve your market, and about the people you meet along the way. That curiosity will open more doors than any marketing strategy ever could. You can connect with Ben at acuo-bc.com. That website will be in the show notes. And I'll have all the resources he mentioned, including that book, Scaling Up, linked in the show notes. If today's conversation resonated with you, I'd love to hear about it. Send me a message on LinkedIn or leave a review wherever you're listening. And if you know another self-employed consultant who's struggling with inconsistent revenue, please share this episode with them. These conversations work best when we're all learning together. Thanks for listening. And until next time, keep thriving through.